So I know when I transitioned into data science, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I just thought data science was this one thing. And now I've been in the industry for a while, and I work at a pretty big company, so I finally have an understanding of the different types of data science and who they're for, how technical they are, how much business impact they have. So I thought I'd walk us through it. So first, there's product data science. This is the field I've been in my whole career, and I'm biased, it's my favorite. In terms of how technical it is, it generally leans on the less technical side. There's a lot of stakeholder management. It can get a little bit more technical if you're doing some causal inference, things like that, but generally you'll just be running A/B tests, doing some correlational analysis. In terms of the business impact, it can really range because this is where the influence comes into play. Can you influence your product stakeholders to ship something, to build something that actually makes the product better? So it can really be the entire spectrum. Next, we have growth data science. So this is generally responsible for a company's, growth. So whether that's growing revenue, growing users, could be even growing like engagement, things like that. Generally, there's a ton of A/B testing and experimentation. So that it can be a little bit more technical, but again, A/B testing in the end is really not that technical once you get used to it. And a lot of stakeholders actually can do it themselves, engineers can do it themselves. As data scientists, you'll be kind of guiding that process and recommending experiments. So in terms of impact, I would say it's a little bit average. Generally, you'll be working on things that touch just a little bit of the business, like the onboarding screen, various like setup funnels. So you're not going to be, changing the product, but if you make a good growth funnel, you will be able to have an impact on the bottom line. Next, we have marketing data science. So this can get pretty technical because there's marketing attribution models. I remember when I was learning about data science in business school, this was what they taught us, and it got pretty fancy with like the coding we were doing. In the end, the marketing space can get very data messy in a sense, where a lot of the data, there's a lot of cleaning to do, and there's just a lot of it, and attribution is difficult. So that's where a lot of these fancier models come to play. In terms of business impact, I would also kind of put it in the middle. Marketing obviously has a big role in some companies, less so in other companies. And in the end, no matter how good your marketing is, you have to have a good product. But also, if you have a great product and don't have good marketing, it's not good. So again, I would put the business impact at somewhere in the middle. Last of the big ones, we have forecasting data science. So this is generally for bigger companies where you have like the central team that forecasts various top-line metrics for a company, like revenue, users, various iterations of that. And this, as you might expect, since it's forecasting, it can get pretty technical. You do a lot of time series analysis. You have to explain exactly how your model works, really understand it well. In terms of the business impact, I would say it's on that lower end. It can be impactful since you're setting roadmaps for the whole company, but are you affecting the product? Not really. And, worst case, you're just kind of setting targets for optics and not really doing much. So I would put this at the lower end of business impact. And then I have a few like special cases. So this is general idea of central data science. And at bigger companies, these are the teams that kind of set up like experimentation frameworks, measurement frameworks, like how to do data science. Or maybe they manage a data set around like classification of users and things like that. So this is obviously going to vary company to company. And I would say it's generally on the technical side because you need to be that subject matter expert in a lot of things related to data science. And in terms of business impact, like I said, it really ranges. You can build a model that the whole company uses and ships a great product, and that's huge business impact. Or if you don't have good influence in the data science org, no one will listen to you and you're not going to do anything. And then another thing that's kind of an asterisk is people data science. So bigger companies will have these teams that essentially they do internal data science. They look at data on employee behavior, usage of various apps, and employee like happiness, retention. So, these are the data scientists who could be involved in like how to decide to lay people off and things like that. So obviously in the end, like I'm biased, like I really don't know what these people do. They get paid as much as regular data scientists. Their work is generally not that technical. There's not a whole lot of data to work with. And impact, I'm going to put them at the lowest. I guess if you care a lot about layoffs, they can be the highest in a sense because they have a huge impact on your life if they're laying you off. Lastly, there's this whole other thing about machine learning, which is a whole different topic. There are data science teams that do machine learning, so obviously that's very, very technical. But more and more machine learning is becoming, especially machine learning engineering, is becoming its own department within companies with the advent of AI and large language models. So very technical. Business impact ranges all across the spectrum. As with anything super technical like machine learning, You can build a great model, you can be super smart, have a PhD, and then if you can't convince the stakeholders to use the model, that model is worthless. So huge range in terms of business impact. Hopefully this was helpful. I know I didn't know any of this when I went into data science, and I thought it was all generally going to be very, very technical. I was wrong. And let me know if you have any questions on any of these specific types of data science, and I can go into it deeper.